Heidi-ho neighbors, Radio Goji here, and welcome to an empty table. I'm just kidding. This is Squeeze the World Toys, and today this is going to be kind of an introduction video here on basically a series of videos I'm going to be uploading over the next few days involving Minipla models. Now, Minipla is an abbreviation for mini plastic model, because the Japanese like to abbreviate stuff like that. It's kind of like the Gundam models, like the ones you see over there. They're officially now known as Gunpla, because that's kind of a similar thing. Mini-Pla models are actually usually associated with the Super Sentai series. And you got your, you have your deluxe, your standard deluxe Super Sentai robots that, have all the different, components, and they all combine together and whatnot. But Minipla is a little bit different because they are models. They still make them basically on the Super Sentai robots, but they're models that you build yourself, and there are a few differences. Here for comparison, that's creaky goodness, because it is a little old by this point. Here is a deluxe Daibouken from Boukenger. Let me focus on that. There we go. As you can see, that's it's probably the best example I have on hand of a standard starter Super Sentai Deluxe robot. And for comparison, here is the Minipla version of Gokai-oh from Gokaiger. As you can see, there are quite a few differences, and probably the most whoops, I'll just put a sword off the side. Probably the most obvious difference here is that the Minipla is, well, probably about half the size as the deluxe. And while I know that this is Daibouken and this is Gokaiger, this is like the best comparison I can come up with. Most starter robots for Super Sentai are used for deluxe are about the same size. Same thing with Minipla. So it's as good as a comparison as I could get. There are pros and cons with Minipla compared to Deluxe. The size could be a pro or con depending on your point of view. In my personal opinion, the Minipla being smaller is kind of a pro. It's the main reason why I started going to these in the first place. Because I was running out of shelf space. I didn't have enough shelf space to have all of these. I had like Deca Ranger, Maji Ranger, Boukenger, and Geki Ranger for all these, and not all of them I brought into the new house. A lot of those are put in storage now. I just have like the Boukenger ones with me. So I had started, getting some of the. I don't have all of them, but I do have quite a few of these Minipla ones, and they do take up quite a lot less space, and they're a lot more convenient to have around. So that's a pro for me, but the bigger size could be, more of a pro for other people. But there are a few things that I will not deny. And I want to start off with some cons first, because I do kind of want to end the segment on a higher note. So cons, we have the material that they're made out of. They're not as it's not the plastic that these are built out of is not as sturdy of a plastic, I don't think, as the deluxe. Now, it's not to say that this is made out of like cheap plastic. Far from it. The plastic that they actually use for these is very high quality. But there will be some situations where if you need to take some parts apart, if you messed up something during the building process and you have to put something back together, it can mess up some of the connector pegs and whatnot, maybe bend them a little bit. I have run into situations like that from time to time. It hasn't been a total loss. I've never run into any total losses for these, but even so, that can be a bit of an issue. Plus, for play, these are more suited for being played with. And you can play with these. These are definitely like a thicker plastic than, say, most Gundam models. But kids could probably play with these and not really hurt them all too much. But there are even going to be some situations where, some combination joints might come loose or something like that over time. I have had that happen with my Shinkeno, which I currently have put away somewhere. The other major con is the detailing on it is mostly stickers. When you build these, they're pretty much all the plastic is like one or two solid pieces, like one or two solid colors. In fact, believe it or not, for Gokai-oh here, I noticed 3 of the components, the Marine, the Jet, and the Racer, are all actually made all of black plastic. All of the color that you see on those is is stickers. And the reason I don't like this is because with stickers, they do come off after a while. See, I even have some peeling off here on Jet, especially with some of these like smaller corners and whatnot. They do start peeling off. There's a lot of wear on the graphics, or especially if it's around corners, or if it's a situation like on the back of Marine here, where you have these kind of things where they're trying to go around like a dome shape. They'll have like these segmented things that kind of all stick on and look pretty at first, but those are probably the ones I hate the most. But here's a very good example. Let me focus on this. A very good example of the sticker wear here is on the back of the wheel, where you on the corners you see that it's pretty much all turned white there. But so that's basically one of the major cons. It's probably the biggest con that I have for these in general. That said, there are a lot of pros to it. One, I really personally enjoy making these. You do have to make them yourself. They don't come pre-assembled like the deluxe ones. And I guess, again, that depends on your point of view, whether or not you really want to make them. But if you're buying a model kit, you're probably in to make it anyway, so that's probably going to be something. The next biggest, one of the bigger pros here is the articulation. Now, Daibouken here is a bad example of articulation because of its transformation joints. It actually does have elbows and knees, but take my word, if you don't have any deluxe figures or deluxe robots, there are a grand majority of these that don't have any kind of movement in the elbows or knees or anything like that. Daibouken just happens to be a rare example just because of how the transformation joints work out. But Gokai-oh, for example, the deluxe Gokai-oh has basically just solid pieces for the arms and legs. But here we actually have, elbow movement. They're basically set up with elbow joints and whatnot. We've got knees. So you can set these guys up in any kind of action pose you can think of, which is a huge pro for some. Oh, another con that I keep forgetting to, I actually knew that there was like one con that I keep forgetting that I had wrote all these down and I was like, okay, I'll probably remember it later. It's that any kind of like super funky gimmicks, they'll usually be present on the Gunpla, the Minipla, but they won't be like automatic. Like the Gokai-oh had, the deluxe Gokai-oh had the hatches that when you turn the wheel on the back, like the hatches would all spring open and stuff. These, they have hatches, see, they open up, but like, for example, because of the articulation joint, like the arm hatches are on two different doors, and also, you have to do them, by hand. There's not, it's basically a small price to pay. I don't really see that as too big of a deal. It's probably why I don't normally think of it, but if you're into the more automatic sort of gimmicks, Minipla might not be for you. But probably the most important pro here is the pricing. Now, nowadays, most deluxe robots will, well, there's like depending on what robot you're getting and whatnot, there's going to be like a whole myriad of prices. The standard starting robots nowadays are like $80, like around 8,000 yen, which is like a little less than $80 now, nowadays. They may or may not have light and sound to them. I know that the Q Reno, which is from Q Ranger, the newest one as of this recording, that does have light and sound with it. It's around, it's like I think the retail price is 8,000 yen right now. Then you'll have like the smaller auxiliary support components that make extra arms or something like that. Those will be between 15, 20, probably even up to $30, depending on whether or not they're like a mid-season upgrade and a huge deal. Then you'll have like your 6th Ranger robot, and those are usually around the same price as a starter. And then you'll have your big ultimate super huge ass robot, sometimes having like a motor inside that allows you to move it around. Those can be upwards of $120. So what about these guys? Well, these are usually sold in kits. Like each set has like 4 or 5 kits with it usually, sometimes 6. I think I've seen 6 is the highest that they've gone with the number of kits in a set. Individually packaged and sold that way. And like each kit is like a component. Like in this case, there were 5 components. Gokai Galleon was 1 component, and then Jet, and then Racer, Trailer, and Marine were all different. Were all their own separate kits. And they were like, and each kit is usually around $5, maybe a little bit more. So you can get a whole robot, like a whole If you like, where to look like CS Toys will have them sold in sets for maybe like $20-$25, which is less than half of what you're going to be paying for a deluxe robot. And that's one of the main reasons that's probably one of the main reasons why they're so incredibly popular right now. I haven't been able to find a lot of the ones, like sometimes because I'm not really actively watching the shows right now, I'll look at like an aesthetic for a show and I'll be like, oh, that seems kind of interesting. I'll see where it goes, and then later on I'll be like, I like that. I'll try to see if I can get some models for them, and then they all end up being sold out. But I've been looking at them more recently. Q Reno's Minipla model came out last week, I think. And on CS Toys, it was sold out immediately. So, that's one of the reasons why I don't collect these too much. At least not as much as... Well, I don't really collect stuff as much as anything, but that's why I don't normally go for a lot of these right now, is because I can never get at them before they're all sold out. I was, however, able to get a particularly special set just recently. I'm going to put these off to the side here. Now, last year's, I say last year's because Q Ranger just started, like a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago. But the last Super Sentai series was Zyuohger, which is the one with they have animals that turn into cubes and whatnot. So it was kind of like Minecraft mixed with animals or something like that. And I was able to get a Minipla set here of special ones. I say special ones because these are not quite they're not quite the Minipla thing that we've been seeing like with Gokai-oh there. These are Micro Gatai. Micro Gatai is something special that they did for Zyuohger, it looks like, because they could make it work. And these are basically made even smaller from what I've seen of the pictures. I have seen a couple of videos. There's a guy I watch on YouTube who does these. There were two different series of Micro Gatai. We got Series 1, which you can see clearly is marked with 1, for Wild Tosai King, which is basically all these cubes are numbered. There are 10 of them, as well as a few like auxiliary ones that are marked with exclamation points or something like that. I haven't seen the show. I'm basically going off of what I've seen of little clips and whatnot. Please forgive me, but you've got basically the series 1 came out around the same time as like the 6th Ranger, so it was basically for like the 3 kits in this set will lead up to the 1 through 9 combination, and then they made a Series 2, which was the exact same thing as this, but with cube number 10, which is the whale. I specifically ordered from CS Toys, I specifically ordered the Series 2, not knowing if some of the extra bits will come in with the Series 1 because they weren't used in the final combination. But what they sent me actually was the Series 1 and then like the 2 kits that make up the whale for Series 2. Which, like I said, I found out it really doesn't matter all that much because the 3 of them in the 1 series, like the 3 of them in Series 2, they're just basically a repackaging of Series 1 anyway, so that all works out. And so what I'm going to do, like I said, this is just kind of an introduction video here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically do a video per box here, and I'm going to build these on camera, and I think that'll be pretty fun. It'll be kind of like, the normal Let's Plays I do, except with building models instead of playing games. I kind of talked with Greg about it too, seeing if that'd be a good idea, and he said, yeah, it seems pretty interesting. And because these are so small, they shouldn't take too long to build. So that's what I'm going to be doing for the next few videos. So I'm actually going to be starting off with the Series 1 kits here. So we're going to, basically the next video I do is going to be for the Zyuohger King set, and I'll go into a little bit more detail in the video on what this is. But, yeah, I think it'll be pretty fun and interesting and neat to try out, so there you go. Anyways, I've been Rado Goji, and I'll be here next time. Join me, won't you?